Good evening and welcome to Series 2, Episode 7 of The Masked Cricketer. Welcome, everybody. Hope you had a good day. Yes, this is specially for George Hiley. I've dressed up especially for George tonight. I think he was very keen on my Scarecrow outfit at the charity game. So this is for you, George. And I've even made myself up a little bit. Somebody said it's not the only time I've been given the sack. And obviously, as I've got a brown nose, they said I was a bit of a brown noser anyway. So I'm living up to my name, I think, tonight. So good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Have we got another classic for you? Have we got another amazing guest? Carry on tuning in to find out. And remember, hashtag Ask the Mask. Kieran, one thing I've forgotten to do over the last few weeks is to thank a particular organisation that we're actually raising funds for. So I think we should put that up on the screen tonight, the Lord's Taverners. We thank them for getting involved and helping us secure one or two of our masked cricketers that we've had in Series 1 and 2, and we'll continue to do so for the future. So big thanks to Mervyn Ramsey, Commercial Director of the Lord's Taverners. Thank you for that. And obviously I'm keeping it there because if you want to donate, you can do. You can just go to our Just Giving page, search the Masked Cricketer, and you can donate accordingly. There will be a scroll at the bottom as the evening progresses. So there's a reminder there that you can donate as much as you possibly can, if you can, at these really difficult times. Kieran, over to you. Our normal thank yous, I think.
Yeah, I thought you were keeping it there because it covers our faces up, and that was another reason. You're looking a bit yellow this evening, Woodsy.
Yeah.
What George doesn't know, of course, is you obviously normally dress like that anyway, so it's not unusual for you to dress like that. I remember what Chris Tarrant said to you back in the summer when you went over to him. What did he say to you? Something along the lines of "spod off your scruffy sod," wasn't it, or something?
Something like that, yeah. Which was fair enough. And I was offering him a beer as well. But
but if I had been offered a beer by somebody looking like that, I think I'd walk the other way, to be honest. Luckily for you, he was comfortable in that chair watching his son, wasn't he? So
indeed.
I think before we crack on with the cricket-related stuff and the thank yous, I think because we're very, very good friends with everybody at Oxford City Football Club, and as you know, Daryl and I do a radio show on a Friday with Oxford City FC, and anybody that didn't see it last night, you missed a real classic. Oxford City FC beating Northampton Town in the FA Cup. They played out of their skins. It was probably one of the best non-league football performances I think I've ever seen, actually. And that's not me being biased. That's just genuinely what I feel. That goal line clearance from Aaron Drew and the goals and the missed penalty and the penalty, it was just a classic cut tie. And I think you wouldn't know who was the non-league side if you'd have come down from Mars or something. It was brilliant stuff. I know Mick Livesey, the commercial director, and Patrick Locke, who's one of the media guys there, very often watches this. So for me and Woodsy, absolutely fantastic. It was brilliant. You've done Oxfordshire proud. Well done, Oxford City. And we'll be cheering you on against Shrewsbury in the next round. And who knows, a third round tie and maybe one of the real big boys like Tottenham or Arsenal, Daryl, maybe. What do you reckon?
Good point. That'd be great. I will actually add at this point, Kieran, you're totally right. Brackley, South Northampton, not an Oxfordshire side.
Right. Don't question my geography.
I'll give you that one. So apologies to anybody offended by my Oxfordshire comment about Brackley.
But fair play to them as well. To be honest, they're through as well. They've got Tranmere. So I know this is a cricket podcast, but we are families. We are family of sporting lovers in Oxfordshire and beyond. So well done to both. Done us proud. Daryl, we've got loads and loads of concurrent viewers tonight. The best I've seen for a while. Hopefully that potentially means lockdown is kicking in and there's not so much to watch on the TV. Watching us is much better than watching Bake Off and Emmerdale. This is really pleasing to see. Who have we got tonight? We were saying yesterday we didn't even know. Well, we probably did. Little teaser for you there, but really looking forward to tonight. And hopefully we'll get loads of guesses in, loads of questions. Once the Masked Cricketer is unmasked, he or she will stay for a Q&A with us. So please stay online and ask lots and lots of questions. Patrick Locke says his life is made after getting a mention on the Masked Cricketer. So there you go, Patrick. Yeah, pleasure, mate. It was fantastic. Right, on to the thank yous. As always, before we start, we'll rattle through these, but they're really important. We had one of our sponsors on yesterday on the promo, Paul Humphreys from Pop Activation. There it is. Daryl didn't really know what Pop Activation was, so Paul Humphreys very kindly told us what they do. And we're really grateful to Paul's support throughout the summer. He provided the match shirts for our first charity game. I'm sure he'll provide something for our second charity game, and we're getting a bit of a team together with our Masked Cricketers 11. We've already got Charlotte Edwards and Ryan Sidebottom confirmed as playing in that team, and possibly Matthew Hogarth will turn up with his grill and play as well, hopefully. But the grill was what interests me, because that looks fantastic, and it's a great initiative that Hog is doing. It's obviously locked down at the moment, but a big thank you to Hoggy last week. Big thank you to all our Masked Cricketers and tonight. Moving on, Graham Woodward from Grape Minds. He will provide again the prize this evening. It's a bottle of red or white. We are getting closer and closer to the big C. I know I'm not allowed to mention it, Daryl, but we're getting close. You might want a bottle of champagne perhaps to celebrate. We may be out of lockdown by then, and it'd be good to see. Graham, your support, as always, is fantastic. We were discussing last night, actually, weren't we, Daryl, that our two main sponsors contributed a grand total of naught in our charity game, and I think Graham, bless him, was run out without facing a ball. But it was a great day, and thank you, Graham. Great Minds in Summertown. Please look them up on Google. I know he's still working very hard despite the lockdown. He was going to join us last night, but big challenges for these companies at the moment. And Graham, your support is very, very gratefully received. Massive thank you, as always, to Lindsay Penn from We Don't Like Cricket, We Love It, for allowing us to share our stuff on the group. That's the wrong one, Daryl. See, I caught you out there. Andy and Lorna Bone from Sports Shots. There you go. Brilliant website with all the local sporting news that you can get at your fingertips in the absence of local newspapers. And again, that's not me moaning and slating local newspapers. It is what it is. Sports Shots is a great venture, fantastic website, lots and lots of stuff. Lorna and Andy, thank you very much. And Joe Cockcroft from not from We Don't Like Cricket, that's Lindsay Penn. Joe Cockcroft from Oxfordshire Sports Memories. Joe, thank you again for letting us share all our content with you. Really, really grateful. So we have got probably the most concurrent viewers I've seen for quite a while on our early stage here. Wes Spearman thinks it's appropriate you're dressing like that because it's Friday the 13th this week. Yeah, he dresses like that every week, Wes. So hopefully we will get loads and loads of questions for our Masked Cricketer, and hopefully once this person is unmasked, we will have loads and loads of questions. Daryl, have we got another superstar? What do you reckon?
Who knows? Who knows? It's masked. We don't even know. Who could it be? It's a mystery. But great. I passed over to you at about 2.5 minutes. You've gone on to nearly 10 minutes. Our Masked Cricketer's probably sweating under his mask already, but I'm now he's nodding. I am now going to bring our Masked Cricketer into the equation. Good evening, Masked Cricketer.
Hello.
Good stuff. Wow.
It's the fly, isn't it? Is it the fly?
A bit like the fly. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I do like that. I'm outstanding in my field. Very good. Very good. That took them 10 minutes to come up with that, Kieran. Okay. Our first question, Masked Cricketer, is... No wonder. This could be the catchphrase question. Have you ever played at Great and Little Chew?
No. That was a very emphatic no then, wasn't it? So.
Definite. Not played there. Have you played in the now... No, I can't say the amalgamated. Have you played in the Cherwell League? No.
Not played in the Cherwell League.
I'll let you ask the next one, Kieran. The normal next question.
Wow. Have you played in the OCA League? And he'll be saying, what? Who? Where's that? So...
Yeah, we where? What? Who?
Are you? There we go. Because we've given this one away as usual because we're useless. Are you male, Masked Cricketer? Are you male? Yeah. We always do that, Darryl, don't we? We need to stop doing that because it gives a bit of a clue.
You know, we could be lying. We could be lying.
Yeah,
You never know.
Paul Fowler's
know.
asking why you're wearing a hazmat suit. So, he's keeping himself well protected from the dreaded COVID. So, the Mars cricketer is male. So, okay, are you a spin bowler? Are you a spin bowler? Not a spin bowler. Okay. Have you ever played professional cricket? Have we got another ex-pro or current pro on our? Yeah, we have. Of course we have. Of course we have, Darryl. You know, we don't just throw this together, do we?
Oh yes, we do. Yeah, we definitely do.
Right. Okay. So you've played professionally. So can we assume that you have played first-class cricket? Do we have another? We have. Wow. Brilliant. Okay. Couple of questions. Both the same question actually, but Paul Fowler and Matthew Hiley and Nigel Everett, are you known as a batsman? No.
Ooh, narrowing it down.
Okay. Are you known?
Well, no.
No, not as a wicketkeeper. Okay.
Were you working late last night, Master Cricketer? That's not going to give it away
from that question. Yeah.
Okay. Are you what Darryl would coin a proper player? Are you left-handed? Are you a left-handed bat?
Another proper cricketer. What could I say? You know, the left-hand brigade continues to shine. Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay. Are you or have you ever been an international cricketer? Do we have another current or former international cricketer? Yes, we do. Darryl Woods.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Have you ever played in the IPL?
Good question. Not in the
That's
IPL.
the first time you've had that question, isn't it? So that's interesting. So never played in the IPL. So you're an international cricketer, you're a left-handed batsman, but not known as a batsman, you're a bowler. So you're not a spinner. Are you Jimmy Anderson?
Have we got? Oh, we haven't got Jamie. It's not Ando.
No, we haven't got Jimmy Anderson. What a shame. Okay, so you played internationally. So have you ever played at any level for England?
He has played for England.
Of course he has. Of course he has, Darryl. Are you over 30, Master?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Are you over 30? Yeah, you're over 30. Okay. Oh, Paul Humphreys. He thinks he's got the answer here. He wants to know: were you bowled by James Coles? That would have given it away, wouldn't it? So no, James Coles played for Sussex. 16 years old, Master Cricketer. He took Rory Burns and Ben Foakes in his first match as a 16-year-old. So yeah, that was why that question came in. Okay, so you're over 30. Are you under 50? Okay, so you're over 30 but under 50. So are you still playing for England? Are you still playing for England? No.
Have you won an Ashes series?
Oh dear! Every week.
Every week. What a legend! What can we say? Oh, brilliant! Have you ever played for Middlesex?
Not played for Middlesex. Okay, so we've got another legend on our hands, then, Darryl, haven't we? Here, so. Yeah. Did you play in the same side as Matthew Hoggard? I think we're getting close, Darryl.
Getting close.
Getting close.
We are getting close.
Okay.
Have you played for Worcestershire?
Ooh. Yeah. You have played for Worcestershire. So are you Chris Tremlett? Has Chris Tremlett played for Worcestershire? I don't know. No, you're not Chris Tremlett.
Not Chris Tremlett.
as we said last week, Chris Tremlett, he's become a bit of a bodybuilder now, and he's, I reckon he'd be still pretty quick, I reckon. So you're not Chris Tremlett. Have you played for Durham? Okay. We are narrowing it down. We're narrowing it down. Have you ever captained England? No. God, we're getting loads of questions tonight, Darryl. This is a bit of a record.
Are you any good at ballroom dancing? No. Not going to be on Strictly anytime soon.
Right. There's somebody here that may know you. Did you go to Millfield School? Yeah. Went to Millfield School. Darryl, we're getting lots and lots of answers here. We're getting lots of answers. So this could be an opportunity to unmask the mask shortly. So, are you originally from Wales? Darryl, we're getting close. Paul Humphreys wants to know, how is your knee?
I think we're probably there, and I have to say, there's a certain individual who's been guessing this particular Masked Cricketer for about the last 21 episodes, and he might have got it right tonight by just saying every week. Are you the legend that is Simon Jones?
We got Simon Jones.
Welcome.
Unbelievable.
So we try to keep you under there for as long as possible, Simon, as we do.
It was not under there. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
How are you doing? How's life with you?
Really good. Really good. To be fair, obviously lockdown has been a nightmare this year, hasn't it? But we were chatting earlier, and I just think it's gone quite quickly. The last 9-10 months. Work's been really good. I'm working for an independent insurance broker in London, now Kerry London. I started last year, and I've loved every minute. It's been brilliant. Just a change of scenery. The people I work with are amazing. My bosses. It's just been refreshing, really.
And busy by the sounds of things. Yesterday, you were struggling to come on our prep because of a busy day.
Yeah, I think I did about 15, 16 Zooms yesterday and the day before. So my brain isn't wired for that. I was frazzled.
We may be getting to the end of Zoom. You never know. If this vaccine comes off, Zoom might be a thing of the past. But at the moment, it's not. And, Simon, from me, first and foremost, just many, many thanks for joining us. We've had some true legends and heroes of mine and heroes of a lot of people on here over the last 21 episodes. Amazing we've got 21 episodes. We do this in aid of the Lord's Taverners. We've raised close to £3,000. If you can donate, anybody watching, we've got loads and loads of viewers tonight, the most I've seen at this stage, which is brilliant to see. If you can donate to the Masked Cricketer and the YouTube and the Just Giving page, it's scrolling on the bottom there. Just search for the Masked Cricketer in Just Giving, and please donate and give what you can. So that's just the get that bit out of the way because we need to mention that. So Simon, obviously a true legend of the game, an Ashes winner. Did you ever think when you were sort of growing up, did you ever have aspirations or ambitions to play for England, or was it something that came to you because of the hard work you put in as you were sort of developing?
Oh, no, I definitely had ambitions. Obviously, my dad had played before me in the 60s. So it was always in the family, and I was brought up playing the game. I started when I was about 5 or 6 years old in the garden like everyone else does. I love football primarily. And then I started taking cricket seriously when I was about 13, 14. Got a scholarship, as was just mentioned, to Millfield School. I had 2 years there. I turned pro just before I went there. When I was about 15 and a half, 16. And look, once I had the cricketing bug and I found I was better at cricket than I was football, then it kind of made sense to try and follow my dreams.
It's brilliant, isn't it? And you followed your dream and you got all the way to the very, very top level of the game and one of a handful of players, Simon, that's won an Ashes series. So you must be very, very proud that you've achieved something that most young cricketers could only sort of aspire and dream of?
Oh, look, if you'd said to me when I turned pro that I was going to win the Ashes and experience the highs of that experience as a squad of lads who'd been together for more or less 4 years, I'd have bitten your hand off. The friends I've made in that squad are for life. And obviously you've had Matthew Hoggard on you, the loose cannon. He'd have entertained you, but yeah, look, it was, to play in that series in 2005 and beat, for me, was probably one of the best sides that's ever played the game in Australia. 1 to 11, or even the whole squad, they were a bunch of legends. They'd all achieved so much in the game. So to look at their side from 1 to 11 and then think that we've actually beaten them over a sustained period of time, over that summer, yeah, it was a really special feeling, yeah.
And Simon, your sort of style of bowling, you had a fairly economical run up to the wicket. You didn't charge in from the sight screen, but you bowled at some pretty good pace, didn't you? And not only that, you swung it both ways, and you were a handful in that series, I think. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing as well with that series was that as a group of bowlers, we were all peaking. We were coming to, we were experienced in the sense that we knew our games inside out. We all complemented each other as a quartet, and obviously Ashley Giles was added to that as the spinner. So we were in a really good place, and we'd beaten everyone else in the world, and the only people who had left to beat were the Aussies, and they came over full of gusto. Glenn McGrath saying after they hammered us at Lords they were going to beat us 5-0, same old England and all that. But I think they didn't plan on actually meeting a side that didn't fear them. We respected them immensely for what they'd achieved in the game and what they were as people, but we weren't scared of them. And I think that was a massive difference compared to teams that maybe have been in the past and the other teams that Australia had played around the world. We were up for a scrap, and the show and the way we fought back in the later parts of the series, where we won the major turning points. Every game was a nail biter. It was horrible, if I'm brutally honest. You weren't sleeping, you weren't eating properly. You couldn't take your mind off. Actually, this is the Ashes, and it's the first time in a long time that England have had a chance of winning it. And I think that sometimes can, take over, and you don't switch off.
That's fantastic. Actually, I somebody's just mentioned on here, and I tend to agree with this. And it'd be interesting to see if you agree with this statement as well. Your role in that side, you were a real sort of game changer. I felt, you were able to take those wickets, a bit like Stuart Broad does now, able to change that game in an instant. Would you put yourself in that bracket?
Yeah, I've had many compliments from people saying similar things. Do you know what? It was one of those scenarios where, as a team, you can get in some sides where there's a rivalry and there's a jealousy. When other people do well, that did not exist in that England side. Did not exist. If Hoggy got 5 I was delighted for him. Same with Fred, same with Harmy, and they were delighted for me when I did my job. So it wasn't in terms of each of us taking accolades for what we did that summer. It was just part of a team thing, a team kind of attitude that we'd built up over those years. And it showed when we actually went out to celebrate. And I think it showed as well with the fans who were watching. I think they felt that they could kind of see similarities with us in just normal people off the street. We were just lads having fun and, coming from, what are quite humble backgrounds. And we all just wanted to win it for the team and the country.
It's so interesting, and listening to Hoggy's accounts of the Open double-decker ride, where just everybody was and their dog was out celebrating an Ashes win. I mean, I want to come back to something in a moment, but what was that like? I mean, that must have been very special.
It was. Look, the issue was a couple of us were still fairly tipsy from the night before, but some hadn't been in bed and that. But do you know what? It was one of those things you kind of realised throughout the summer how it had progressed, how it had built up. But none of us ever realised actually how the public had taken to that series. because when Phil Neal came into the dressing rooms and said, right, lads, we're going on a bus tour tomorrow. We're going to 10 Downing Street. We're going to Trafalgar Square. We were just like, we felt a bit embarrassed, really. We were like, well, no one's going to be there. Why are you even doing this? Do you get what I mean? So we felt a bit silly. And then we turned up in the morning and we jumped on the bus and we started going. And there was just thousands and thousands of people there. Just loving the fact of what we'd achieved. It was an amazing experience, and to share that with the lads as well. I think Tony Blair regretted inviting us into number 10, if I'm brutally honest. I think he saw it as a little bit of a PR campaign or something. But he didn't envisage 12 very drunk lads turning up and going into his house. But it was one of those once in a lifetime kind of experiences, and we loved every minute.
Oh, superb! I remember. I think Hoggy said that he called Tony Blair a knobhead. I think was the phrase.
I was next to him, and that's the one thing with Hoggy, right? He's one of my closest friends in the game, and you have to put up with the rough or the smooth with Hog because he gets bored very easily. But also, I call him the social hand grenade because literally anything could come out of his mouth. And for him to be stood next to the Prime Minister, and then there was like a bank of obviously photographers on the other side of the road, and for Tony Blair to say, "I wonder what all those people want." What kind of reply is he going to get from Matthew Hoggard, who's he's about 4 pints in as well, and he just called him they want a picture, you knobhead. So I was stood there going, no, Oggy man. But yeah, Tony Blair's face was a picture, absolute picture.
I think I'm sure we'll come back to the Ashes as the evening progresses, but I just want to take you back a bit further because this is something I don't really know about you is where you actually started your cricket. I know Millfield College and all that, but where you started playing your youth cricket and what coaches were involved with you and what some of the inspirations you had at that young age.
Obviously, I was very, very fortunate to have a dad that had played at the level that he had. The one thing that was special about my dad when I was a kid and the way he is now, he's very laid back, and because I think he's been there and he's experienced the pressures that you face as an international sports person, he realizes that you're going to have your bad days, you're going to have your good days. So he never ever put pressure on me, and I think that's why I enjoyed playing under Michael Vaughan so much, because he give you the freedom just to express yourself, and that's all he always said to us boys. You are here because you are good enough and you are game changers. I just want you to go out there and relax. He said, Jonesy, if you get it for 4 fours in a row, I don't care. You might get a wicket on that 5th ball. And he gave you a sense of, I've got a bit of a license here. So when I was growing up, I grew up with that mentality. My man never, put pressure on me. So then as I went through my cricket, I was lucky with the cricket masters I had. I had Ivan Thomas in the halfway school in Llanelli, which was opposite my parents' house. He was cricket mad. Then I went to my comprehensive in Llanelli, and he was cricket mad, my English teacher. I had a brilliant cricket club down the road called Davin. And so I was very fortunate growing up in Wales, where football and rugby are primarily the favoured sports that kids go for. I was lucky with my progression through school that I had cricket fanatical kind of coaches there to influence me. And then obviously I had my own mum when I went home. So I was very fortunate, yeah.
Brilliant. Kieran, I know there's loads of questions coming in. I probably one more from me before I hand back to Kieran, because we did have a little conversation with Hoggy last week about football and his sort of hate of the game. You mentioned at the beginning there that you quite liked your football. Is that still with you? And who's your team?
I don't really have a team, but I grew up in Llanelli, and there's a local rivalry with them and Swansea. It's always been that way. So I've lived in Cardiff for 21 years now. So I'd support Cardiff if anyone. I've only been once or twice. But brutally honest, I don't really enjoy watching it anymore. I don't like the way people dive. I don't like the way they go looking for fouls. I don't like the way. I know it's gamesmanship, right? It's part of the game, and that's how they win important free kicks in certain areas of the field. But for me, when I look back at the players I loved watching grow up, I loved Roy Keane. I thought, him, he just pitted out. He's hard as nails, honest as the day is long, and he'll just get the job done. Like Vinnie Jones and these people, I just enjoyed them being them. Whereas now I just feel as if the game is, it gets taken for a ride at times with the way people behave on the field, and I don't like it.
Yeah, no, interesting, and I don't disagree. I think you're right. Certainly at the top level, it really has gone that way. Kieran, over to you. I know there's some questions coming in. So
loads and loads of questions. First of all, though, Simon, I was going to say, you talk about your dad quite a bit there. I mean, it's nice to have cricket in the blood, isn't it? And cricket in the family. Obviously, your dad played sort of 15 times for England and took quite a few wickets actually in his short career. 44 wickets in 15 Test matches. That's not a bad return, is it? In just 15 games. So you must have had a fair bit about him.
Yeah, he's left armour. He was up there 90 miles an hour plus. He wasn't quite as tall as I am now, but myself and my dad are very similar. We're quite quiet and reserved in normal life. And then once we crossed that white line, totally different people. And you'll have probably seen it a few times. It's backfired on me horribly at times. But I think that's the way you have to be. And, I have done coaching in the years gone by where parents will say to me, I feel as if my boy or girl, they're a bit too nice. You can't coach that. You can't coach someone to be aggressive on the field. You can't coach them to, once they cross that white line, to flick that button. You can't coach that. I think that's just something that's in you. Yeah. You can try, obviously, to I remember Chris Tremlett, gentle giant. I'm 6'3.5". He's about 6'8". And we used to say to Tremors, mate, come on, have a go. And he said, it's not me. I don't like doing it. I'll try and let the ball do the talking. And so it is horses for courses, the way you go and approach your game and the way you're going to go after the opposition. I was very different. I used to try and impose myself on the opposition. I'd be looking for a bit of a scrap just to get my beans going, maybe get them to play a false shot. It's each to their own, but it's one of those things I did thoroughly enjoy. I used to enjoy getting in the mix. Yeah.
Fantastic. I do notice that your batting average is probably 5 times as good as your dad's, because you did score a few runs at times. I remember particularly an innings at the back end of an Ashes test. So you did like to bat, didn't you? I know you were sort of lower order, number 10, 11, but you did enjoy your batting, didn't you?
Loved it. I was lucky with the squad of lads we had. I was buddied with Marcus Trescothick. I think the only similarity between the two of us was we both didn't move our feet. He had 1,000 more times more talent than me. But when you're working with someone as talented and as knowledgeable as Marcus, you're only going to improve. And I found even through that 2-year period I was working with him that my batting did come along. He gave me little game plans. He gave me little thought processes to use before I faced the ball. When you're facing Brett Lee, it's not fun. It's not fun. No one's coming down at 95, 96 miles an hour. You've got 0.4 of a second to think about what you're going to do. I was generally thinking, don't die. Whereas you get the lads who are proper batsmen, like Kevin Peterson, thinking, right, where am I going to hit this ball? And that's the difference. It's just like I could bowl 90 plus and they couldn't. It's just human, how we are wired and stuff. But yeah, to work with Trez was special. The old man wasn't renowned for it, but he lived in an era where you had the fast bowlers union. You bowl full and straight, they'd leave it, and then we just walk off. And he didn't really have to work with his bat. The game has changed so much in those 40, 50 years. You have to be three-dimensional. You have to be able to field. You have to be able to bat. You have to be able to bowl. And that's why I think we've seen a massive improvement in the way people play the game now. And I think when I started with England was 2002. I think that's when Duncan Fletcher started bringing in that part of it. He didn't want any real weak links in the squad. When it was Phil Tufnell in the past or Devon Malcolm or lads they deemed were a bit like rabbits, really. So Fletcher was massive influence on the whole squad.
Yeah, he really did with Nasser. I think we've heard a few times that it was him and Nasser that really started the resurgence, really, wasn't it? From the sort of the dour 90s into the side of the 2000s.
Yeah.
We've had loads and loads of questions coming in. So I'm going to ask a few of them. I'll go back to Daryl, then come back for a few more. This is a good question. I don't know if you can explain it as well as maybe some of the pundits, but can you explain reverse swing and how you did it, Simon? Because you were renowned for your reverse swing at pace. Just explain it for those that maybe would like to learn the skill and how you do it.
Right. It's not that complicated. The only issue you can ever face when you're trying to bowl reverse swing, the ball has got to be in the right condition. It has to be bone dry. One side is obviously going to be shiny. You don't use any sweat or spit or anything on the ball to shine it up. You just literally shine it on your trousers, and that is it. Anyone in your side that's got sweaty hands, keep them away. They're gone. They've gone out the equation straight away because that ball has to be bone dry. And I think people have come in and tried to. For me, it's just like when people try and reinvent the wheel. They try and talk about seam positions and stuff. For me, as a coach, which I had been in the past, it's down to the individual. All right, the coach can facilitate, but it's down to the individual to find a way. And I think that's the biggest thing. You have to think on your feet if you're in professional sport. So yeah, the ball's bone dry, and I just held the seam pulled up right like I did normally, and I just did it in the nets in Australia, the Australian Academy with Rod Marsh. I did it in 2001. First ever academy. Was an amazing experience with Rod and the team out there. And I spent those 6 months, like when lads were going into the bag where all the cricket balls were, they were picking up the hardest newest cherry they could find. And I was picking the one that looked like it had been chewed by a dog. Because I'd had a chat with Troy Cooley, and he said, right, you've got to, like, for you to stay on this side, you're going to have to do some of the dirty overs. You're going to have to do some of the hard yards here. Because when that ball, when Hoggy and Harmy are opening bowling, unless one of them gets injured, you are Fred aren't opening. So you two have to bowl those periods in the game, which are hard work. So he wanted me to learn to bowl an old ball, and that's what I did for literally the 6 months. And I came back, and look, I never say you can master anything, but I became very good at it. I trusted the old ball more than anyone. But then obviously as my career progressed, and I enjoyed bowling with a new ball as well. But get the old ball in my hand, and I'm at home.
I mean, you were a bit of a master of your art, very similar in many ways to Jimmy Anderson's the master of his art now. But it's an important skill to have, isn't it? Because yes, you've got the opening bowlers sort of, with the shiny new ball, but to be able to do what you did with the older ball at pace, it caused issues for so many batsmen, didn't it?
Yeah, and I've spoken to Adam Gilchrist and Ricky Ponton and a few of them, and they said that was the biggest issue, was the amount the ball was reversing, but also the pace it was coming down at. Myself and Fred were bowling 90 plus at times. As long as you're bowling 86, 87, when you're playing against boys of that ilk, then when the ball's swinging, you can survive. But it was just one of those things we had to think on our feet that to play against a side like that. But you think to yourselves, the test matches, everyone is listening or watching or wherever it is, the games you've seen in the past in the test arena, where are they lost in the middle periods when the ball is soft and when the batsmen are in? Those are the crucial periods, because anyone can bowl with a new ball up front. All right, if you're a professional, then you should be able to land the ball in the right areas. But the games are the critical points. So when you're in the middle, the ball is soft and old, and you've got to take wickets. So the only way then is you have a gun spinner or ball reverse.
And you certainly have plenty of that. Darryl, one more question if I could, and then I'll hand back to you. So a question that's come in, I know we wanted to ask you. So there was obviously the issue in 2002-03. We all remember watching it in Brisbane. the first test at Brisbane, and that horrible injury that occurred. I think you sort of twisted in the sort of the sandy surface, and you came back from that. But what was going through your mind? Obviously, a serious injury, but you came back from that. But it must have been a horrendous time for you.
Oh, look, I lost more or less 18 months of my career. I did my cruciate ligaments and I did my post-lateral corner as well, which is on the outside of the knee. And yeah, it was horrendous. We'd played in a warm-up game at the Allan Border Oval against Queensland. And it's a beautiful ground. It's not very big. It's a bit of a postage stamp. But when you slid on that grass, you just carried on going. So me being 22 years old, wherever it was, I assumed that every ground in Australia was the same. I think in the build-up to the test, we'd done a bit of fielding on the outfield, only high catches to get used to the seats because they've got the maroon and yellow seats, and they're quite hard to pick the ball up, actually. So we just did that. We didn't do any real ground fielding, didn't do any sliding or anything like that. But after I'd done my knee, we found out that some of the Aussies had refused to do an Australian cricket board fielding video there because the ground was suited to Aussie rules and not to that. They don't slide. So it was one of those things. I chased the ball down, slid, and yeah, it was tough. I knew I'd done something serious as soon as I felt it. It felt like a knife going in, and got ruptured off. Got taken to the hospital, scanned. It was nice to have Steve Harmison carrying me off, one of my best mates, and obviously Jason Gillespie came out as well, which I thought was a nice touch. He'd experienced a hell of a lot of injuries as well, so he knew the feeling I was going through as a young kid. All the Aussies, to be fair, came into the dressing rooms to see if I was okay. But yeah, it was just one of those processes I had to do. I got home, had the operation done up in Sheffield with a surgeon who was an absolute legend, Derek Bickerstaff. It was a 4-hour operation, I think it was, and it was a success. So the hard work started. I was doing 5-6 days a week, 6 hours a day, rehabbing. Didn't touch a drop of alcohol for a year. I tried, for my knee to heal and give it every single chance that I could to get back. And yeah, I remember playing in a second team game then for Glamorgan second team at Panteg. And we tried to keep it quiet because we didn't want any pressure put on me from the press. And all of a sudden there was 60 or 70 press on the bank. They found out. So I rocked up to the second team game against Lancashire. Chris Schofield was playing. Hogg was there. And it's the last thing I wanted to see was to have any external pressures on me when I was testing up my knee for the first time in a game. I've done it in a net loads of times, but you know what it's like when you go into a game, you go that little bit harder because your beans are going. But I got through that, and went with the academy again then in 2003, and then obviously got called up for the West India tour 2004.
I mean, obviously, it needless to say, it did truncate your career. You had nowhere near as many games as perhaps you deserve to have, 18 Test matches. But I'll go back to Daryl. But obviously, you did come back strongly, and we'll talk a little bit more about the 2005 series. But that must have been like the pinnacle and the highlight of your career. I think we'll talk more about that later on. But the fact you came back shows your inner strength, didn't it?
Yeah. I'm stubborn, basically. I don't like someone telling me that I can't do something or I can't achieve something. I'll always go as hard as I possibly can, do everything right to see if I can actually achieve it. So when I had the press saying I was never going to come back from that injury, I was like, nah, I'll prove you wrong. And I managed to do so. I was very lucky to have the Glamorgan physio helping me rehab. His name is Urjan Mustafa. We became best friends because we spent that much time together. And he did a great job with the rehabs and whatnot. But then to finally get back into that England side was the icing on the cake, really, because I was back where I felt I belonged. I was very comfortable in that environment with the lads that were in, like Mark Butcher, who's one of my best mates, was there to greet me when I got off the plane. So it was just a great feeling to achieve the dream of getting back into the side when you're young and you get a taste of playing at a level, you just want to keep on experiencing it, don't you? And to get back into that side, then it was nice.
probably come in at that moment. So the support around you at that time was phenomenal. You would say.
The physio I had was my best mate. Or it turned out to be my best friend. Yeah, was very good. He was as determined as me because I wasn't on a central contract at the time, and England had kind of left me go back to Glamorgan to get it sorted out. And I was all right. I played 2 tests for them, but I wasn't on the central contract, so I wasn't really their responsibility. And for me, I just thought, right, if I don't do this properly, then there's a good chance my career is going to be over. So I sat down with the phys urge, and we thrashed it out. And we said, right, this is the plan. This is what we're going to do. And we are going to tick box exercise. We're going to do it every month, see where we are, and we will get you back. So it was a great feeling, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's superb to hear, actually, in those times. Just to let everybody know, K-Dog has vanished just for the moment, because he is actually on call for his job tonight, and he's had to take a call. So that's why he's disappeared. He's taking a call as we speak. So he'll be back with us during the evening. But just to probably say at this point, again, just pointing down to the Just Giving page there for the Lord's Taverners, please go to the Just Giving page, the Masked Cricketer, and you can donate. One thing that I had a phone call today, actually, Simon, from my mother. I happened, myself and K-Dog actually did a radio interview locally on the afternoon, and she was actually listening. And she didn't realise, she knew I'd been doing the Masked Cricketer, but she didn't realise what the cause was for and how popular it had become. And she phoned up and said how proud she was of myself, and my dad, who passed a few years ago, would be looking down with pride. So that was a really nice call I had today. So she's going to put a check in the post, good old check in the post. So I can then deposit that back into the Just Giving page. So for me, that's another nice little story from what's come off the back of the Masked Cricketer. So thank you, Mum. So that was great. Coming back to you, Simon, I mean, there's a couple of questions I was going to ask you, and they've come up actually here. It's on the topic of gamesmanship. And as a bowler, what's your view of the Mankad?
From my point of view, never do it. I think you are entitled to give them a warning. If you do think they're taking liberties, I think you within your rights just to stop and say, right, sort it out. But I don't think I could physically do it. It just wouldn't sit well with me. I wouldn't feel as if I've earned that wicket. I wouldn't feel as if, as a side, we've earned that wicket. Look, it's in the rules. You can do it. So there's nothing illegal about it. It's just part of the kind of cricket family ethos that I don't think you should do it. Because we saw with, I think one of the sides in the Under-19 World Cup did it, didn't they? Was it a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
And there was uproar. But the lad, whoever did it, was well within his rights to do so because it is in the laws of the game. It's just an unspoken rule for me, anyway, that I'd never do it.
I think it's against. I feel it's against the spirit of the game, but it just doesn't sit well with me. That's for sure. The other thing I wanted to say, I mean, there was somebody's come up here. What's your favourite first class memory, rather than your international? What's your favourite first class memory?
Probably one of the best spells I've ever bowled in my life was down at Swansea against Essex, and I got 5 or 6 for, and it just came out beautifully. I reckon it's probably the quickest spell I've ever bowled in my life. I was bowling to Andy Flower, and Essex had a good side at the time, and it was just one of those days where I'll always say to any young fast bowlers, treasure those days where it feels easy. Because majority of the time it's going to be hurting, and it does hurt. You're playing 80% fit, 75% fit most of the time. You're always dealing with niggles. You're always dealing with pain, and it's just part of the job. It's just a really unnatural thing to do, bowling fast. So I always try and tell young lads coming through, enjoy those days where it just feels as if you're not having to work too hard to bowl quickly. The other first class memory I loved was the year that Yorkshire won the championship, when we were all in the same league. So it was 18 counties in one league. And I hit Darren Lehman for 46. I got 46 off 12 balls. 12 or 13 balls. Just belted him. There wasn't really much on the game. They needed a couple of wickets. They were going to win a championship anyway. So I thought, right, I'm going to have a bit of fun. And I got 46. But that's the worst thing for me is I've never had a 50 in my life. Not at any level. Not even at primary school when I played club cricket. Never got 50 in my life. Gutted.
I reckon you could if you turned out for our charity game. We've got some very friendly. Even I scored 15 in that game, and I'm hopeless, Simon. So little date for your diary maybe. Hoggy's going to be there, so even if you just come for a beer, that'd be good. I've just noticed actually the wonders of Wiki. That 46, that was your highest ever first class score then. 46.
Yeah.
I mean that's a nice memory to have actually, but that was seamless. K-Dog, get our guests to come to on the 31st of May to our charity game at Oxford Downs, which I've missed doing this in the last couple of weeks. Actually, it's in my contract, and I have to display my cricket club at times. So there we go. We got it in. So that's cool.
We're in the west of the county, so it's not even very far. So have a little think about it. Hoggy, Jack Brooks, Ryan Sidebottom's playing in it. We've got some good players. So if you could grace us with your presence and help Hoggy with the grill, if you can't run in, that's fine.
So will I be playing against you two?
You might be in the same side, actually.
Probably with us, hopefully. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to face you, Simon.
He's changed his mind now. He's realised he's going to play with us. He said against us, but with us now. Yeah.
Carol, can you imagine me facing Simon Jones? Seriously, come on.
That'd be quite good, actually.
Tell me the dates and I'll put it in the diary.
Brilliant. That's really kind of you. Simon, I always tend to slant on trying the comical questions, and obviously sledging. Were you prone to that, or what was your best that you gave or received? What's the like?
Sledging's it's a funny one, isn't it? It's awkward. The only thing I experienced when I was getting wickets was I wasn't in control of what was coming out of my mouth after I got a wicket. It was almost like a bout of Tourette's. And I'd be reminded of what I'd said by the rest of the lads, but I wouldn't really remember what I'd said. In terms of sledges, you hear some of the legendary ones like Edo Brandes and that. One of the lads playing at Glamorgan, and we were playing down at the old ground where Hampshire used to play. West End, wasn't it? And one of the lads was bowling for Hampshire, and one of the Glamorgan lads, Johnny Hughes, couldn't get a bat on the ball. And the bowler was getting a little bit irate, getting stuck into him, calling him fat and stuff. It's a little bit like the Edo Brandes one, but not the same. So he's got stuck into this lad for a good probably spell, so 25 minutes, 30 minutes. And then he's bowled one in the wrong area, and this lad Hughesy has just belted him. And I mean, he's gone out the ground. And my mate said, "Do me a favour, bat. On the way back from fetching the ball, stop at McDonald's. I'm starving," he said. Yeah, so he'd asked him to stop at McDonald's to get him some food because he was hungry. But it was one of those things where sometimes it would go a bit too far. And people I've seen a couple of grills being grabbed and people's heads being shaken and stuff. I've seen a lot of shoulder drops, shoulder barges. But in my experience, I've never really seen any bad ones. Nothing's got too personal. Like I remember seeing, who was it of the West Indies? I think it was Curtly Ambrose, wasn't it? And Steve Waugh, wasn't it? And they had a proper ding. No, it was McGrath and Sarwan, wasn't it?
McGrath and Sarwan, that got quite personal though, didn't it? I think a sledge. Is it fair to say a sledge shouldn't really get personal? I guess really, but that one got a bit personal, didn't it? So.
Yeah, well, one lad in South Africa said something to me which he shouldn't have said on the field about one of my family members, so I grabbed him in the TQ and pinned him against the wall.
It's like you grabbed it in the TQ. Is that a euphemism for something?
Sorry, the LT, yeah. I caught him in the queue for food, and I let him know where I thought of him anyway.
Yeah, quite right. I mean, you're right. It's interesting you're saying that. People have said to me, "Did you realise you just said what you said on a cricket field?" Because I'm in the throes of a competition, and I'm quite competitive even now. And they say, "Do you realise you just said that?" And I went, "No, I didn't say that." They go, "Yeah, you did." And you're actually in that heat of the battle, aren't you? You do sort of sometimes just switch off, don't you? And something ridiculous comes out of your mouth.
You get so caught up in the moment as well, especially when there's something on the game. If it's a local rivalry with two clubs, or there's bragging rights involved as well, I think that can obviously create a little bit of issue as well. But it's just, look, as long as it doesn't go too far, I think it's part of the game, and it always has been. Just as long as it is kept within certain boundaries, I think it's fine.
I've just got to embarrass Daryl here, because I remember I was umpiring him a couple of years ago, and I remember a situation where his team weren't playing very well. He knows what's coming now. His team weren't playing very well, and he was captain standing at first slip. And he took his hat off and he kicked it about 10 feet behind him, and then realised that nobody was going to pick it up, and he had to very indignantly walk and get it and pick it up. And he was captaining a side with a few youngsters in the side, and I just thought it was hilarious. A grumpy old man booting his cap. But then, in fairness to him, he then took an absolute worldie of a catch in the same game. So I'm gonna bring that one back there. So Simon, a mate of mine who is one of my work colleagues, actually, he's not joined us before, but I'm going to ask this question because he's a Welshman and he loves you a bit. So David Rees, good Welsh name. He said, you might not remember him, but you once gave his dad and a friend a walking tour of Sophia Gardens. They won a competition for it. He doesn't know if you remember doing the walking tour. He said they had a great time and you were a brilliant host. The question he's got, he said...
Yeah, I do remember it, yeah.
You do? Oh, fantastic. The question he's got, did you ever consider doing some sledging in Welsh so you could have said whatever you wanted and nobody would have had a clue what you were saying?
Do you know what? Right, we had, in the Glamorgan side, we had Robert Croft, Alan Evans, who all spoke Welsh, and they'd give us one-liners to say. So slow ball would be Pale Araf. So we had our own little kind of sentences and chats going on. So they, like when we played against, say, Surrey or that, they did not have a Scooby-Doo what was going on. So yeah, we used to have a little bit of fun like that. And then,
brilliant.
We might say something totally harmless, but then we'd all start wetting ourselves laughing to make the batsman feel a little bit awkward. Do you know what I mean? Because they didn't know what was being said. So yeah, we did have some fun with it. Definitely.
That's brilliant. I know Kieran's got some questions coming up to the hour, so thank you very much for being with us. We always keep you for longer than the hour. We say about it's probably a bit more. And as you're a legend, we've still got loads of questions coming in. I think for me, before I hand back to Kieran with a few more, is in the changing room, I ask this question quite a lot. The banter that's in there, but who was the dirtiest in the changing room? Who was the funniest? Who was the most dour? There you go. Three categories for you to dabble with.
So dirtiest as in unhygienic?
Yeah.
Oh, William Bragg from Glamorgan. Dan Cherry, actually, he might be up there.
I've got a story about Dan.
Yeah, he is possibly, apart from Steve James, possibly the hairiest human being I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, he looked like a kiwi fruit. He had that much hair on him. And when he got a bit, obviously playing football or sweaty or whatever it was the other day, he did smell a little bit like a dead dog. So he'd be one to avoid if he'd had a long day in the field. Funniest, Hoggy's got to be up there, prankster. He can be a pest. He'd phone me up and I think, right, no good could come of this phone call. I'm not going to answer it. And he'd leave an answer phone message bleating like a sheep for 2 minutes and then finish it off at knobhead. So those are the kind of answer phone messages I was getting. I'd be bowling in nets with England. He'd come up and lick my face. He'd be making noises, generally like the Teletubbies. Beep, boop, beep, boop, 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 boop. Just walking past you and thinking, Hog, what are you doing? And that was when he got bored. And one of the most dour. Whoosh.
Harsh. That's a harsh question, isn't it?
It is. Got to be careful now.
Oh, I don't care. They bring it up with me. Who was the most dour? Well, I've been at Worcester, about Glamorgan, Worcester, Hampshire. I'll come back to that one. I'll have a little think.
A big shout out to Dan Cherry, actually, because I actually had to take him to hospital. He broke his arm in a game that I was playing in.
Yeah.
And I took him to hospital, and I mean minor injury unit, I think. I can't remember exactly what he'd done. It might have been a finger, a thumb, or arm. I can't remember exactly. But I was just doing dutiful, taking him to minor injuries. And he actually then, about 3 days later, I received a signed Glamorgan shirt. So yes. I believe your name may well have been on that, Simon.
He doesn't. That does not surprise me. Dan was an absolute gent, lovely human being. It's a lovely human being, and that would, totally have come from him. He'd have gone off his own back to do that as well, just to thank you. So he's a great guy.
Good stuff. Kieran, over to you. I know you got some fast questions. Wow, I'm not sure you've got fast questions. You never have, but I'll go over to you.
I'll try and rattle through them because we've had more questions tonight, Simon, than any other episode. So you've beaten Hoggy because we had loads for Hoggy last week, but this is ridiculous. Before we do though, Daryl, I was just thinking. Simon mentioned, the lad licking his face at Glamorgan. It must be a thing for Glamorgan, mustn't it? Because obviously we've got Luke Cheshire, haven't we? So we've got a lad called Luke Cheshire who came through our ranks. He's now playing for Glamorgan's academy side, and absolutely crazy bonkers lad. And he seemed to have this habit, not nowadays in COVID times, but he used to love kissing and licking everything. Very, very strange lad. He was a little bit half Australian, I think. I think he was English, but he lived in Australia for a while. But yeah, he often watches actually. So I just thought I'd mention that. It just reminded me. Cool. So yeah, we got loads and loads of questions. I'll rattle through there. Fairly quick fire, but so if we can just start with your most enjoyable dismissal. Surely it's got to be an Aussie. Paul Fowler's asked that one. If you can think of your most enjoyable dismissal.
Michael Clark, all day long. Yeah. All day long.
Was it the one with the stump then?
Yeah. He's an exceptional player. So to set him up and the way I did and to bowl him the way I did all ends up, Michael Clark all day long.
And your celebration afterwards, I remember that really clearly, actually. And you were obviously very happy with the delivery as well, the setup and the ball that you got him with.
Yeah, the crowd had gone a bit quiet, so I stood at the top of my mark and I gave him a bit of a G-up. And in my mind, I'd done 2 overs of bowling reverse away swing, so I thought, right, it's time to bowl the in-swinger. And it came out perfectly. I always remember when I watched that video, when I've seen it, because it's on Twitter quite a bit, there's an old couple in the crowd and you see them hugging and you're thinking, like, everyone in our crowd now, not just because of that ball I bowled, but the whole summer of the Ashes series, they've got memories for the rest of their lives from what they experienced that summer. That's how special it was. So when I see that older couple in the crowd, I love that. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I was saying to Hoggy last week, actually, that the 2005 series, it might sound strange because I'm relatively old, but it was the series that really, really got me going with cricket, actually. So, and you were part of that. Sort of following on from that, in terms of your favourite wicket, what did it feel like as a bowler, who one of the very few bowlers for England that really scared opposition players, particularly Aussies? We love an Aussie battling, don't we?
Yes, massively. Look. Do you know what? It didn't really feel that way. We just felt it was a really even contest and that it was game on, and we had to be on top of our games if we were going to beat these boys or get them out or do whatever it was. So I think we ever thought, like, the only one I saw throughout the series, which I thought, yeah, he's struggling here, was Fred with Gilchrist. He'd go around a wicket and then take it away from Gilchrist, and he'd always follow the ball. So throughout the series, he was the one, like, I picked up Michael Clark quite a few times. But so when you're playing against that caliber of cricketer, then I don't think you ever feel as if you're on top of them, because your margin for error is so small.
Brilliant. This is a good question from a guy called Richard Whitaker, and I'll sort of expand on this a little bit because it's something that we've often spoken about with our players that we coach. Did anybody ever try and tell you to maybe slow down the pace and bowl line and late, or were you always encouraged to bowl fast? And the reason I'm asking this question is because we very often, when we're coaching, if we've got a lad that naturally bowls fast, we will tell him to bowl fast because that's what he does. Is that kind of your sort of mindset throughout your career?
I couldn't agree more. I think if you've been given a gift to bowl quickly, do it. You know, you got sprinters. Are they going to tell them to slow down just to get their techniques right? No, they're just going to let them go. And as they get older, they'll learn their techniques. They'll get stronger. They'll get bigger. It's the same with fast bowling. I don't mean about getting the bigger and stuff. You might grow.
Yeah.
But for me, if you can bowl fast, you've got to do that, and your control will come as you get older. I was still bowling flat ones in nets when I was 18, but I just wanted to run in and bowl as fast as I could. I bowled a beamer straight at Matthew Maynard's nose, and it hit him there, literally just in front of his face. And I didn't mean it, not one bit, but I was just trying to impress the captain of the club, and he came out slightly wrong. So I'd always encourage kids to bowl as fast as they can. And then let the control come later.
And I guess it's actually quite similar to, you know, we always say to the players that we coach, we coach sort of junior players, under 18s, under 16s. You know, if you've got that natural gift to hit the ball out the park or to bowl fast or to give it a rip, then do it, because, you know, particularly when you're practicing, it's a great opportunity to sort of practice your skill and master it, isn't it? And obviously that's what you did.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Matthew Lee, who's a big Gloucestershire fan. No, he's not a flan. He's a fan. He's a big Gloucestershire fan. He asks a question every week. He's a regular viewer. There's been some brilliant Welsh cricketers over the years. Who would you say, apart from your good self, you know, the best Welsh cricketers that have come out of that wonderful land?
I'd like to say my dad is certainly up there. Robert Croft, in terms of internationals. What Alan Jones did, I think, throughout his career. Don Shep, you know, there's loads of this. Tony Lewis, there's loads of them. So I think we've been spoilt really with the cricketers that Glamorgan have had who are homegrown.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it was like there's a fairly long list there. Hugh Morris, Steve James, Matt Maynard, Steve Watkin. I could keep on going. You know. Each individual has all achieved masses in the game. So to pick one, I'm gonna struggle probably.
No, that's fine. I mean, they're all big names, all well-known names that master their art, aren't they? When right. Just sort of changing tack slightly. So you talk about Sophia Gardens and I think it's the Swalek Stadium. How it was. When Test cricket first came to Cardiff, I mean, obviously, I think there was an Ashes Test, one of the first Ashes Tests in Cardiff. I mean, did you actually get to play in the first Ashes Test in Cardiff, or were you not around then? Were you not playing then?
It was in 2009. I was invited into a gentleman's name, Nigel Roberts. He owned a company called Paramount in 2 years, and they used to sponsor Glamorgan. And he invited me in to obviously eat food and have a couple of beers and watch the cricket. And look, that was the one thing I'd always wanted to. Dreamt of doing really was representing England in Cardiff, but I never had that opportunity. It was gutting. Don't get me wrong, when I played at Lords or Edgbaston, Old Trafford, Trent Bridge, there, you know, that's an experience in itself. But to have done it at Cardiff would have been, that would have been unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic venue, isn't it, for international cricket now as well? It's one of the best new venues for international cricket, I think. Anyway, I've had the pleasure of watching a T20 there. Yes, T20, Darryl. I do watch T20. So, moving on from players you love bowling up, is there any player that you sort of didn't like bowling at, and if so, why? And did you come up with any sort of plan B? So was there a bowler that you particularly felt was difficult to bowl at, and you had to sort of rethink?
I've mentioned it a few times, and it surprises people. Always Shah. He very wristy player, super talented. I spent quite a bit of time with him in the academy with Rod Marsh, and obviously I've been playing for the Professional Cricket Association Masters team, and he's been in that quite a lot, and I've got to know him a lot better. But I found him quite difficult to bowl to, especially because I was bowling to him in T20 games. And obviously, your back's against the wall slightly. He played at Essex. The ground was quite small to the one side, especially. But he was amazing at if he got your Yorker slightly wrong, it was gone, and he could work you into different areas of the ground. So for me, was one of the toughest I bowled to in my first class career, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, he was a bit of a class act. I mean, I think he possibly could have played for England a lot more than he did, particularly in the shorter forms of the game. He was he was a very enterprising, talented player to watch. I know that. But just finally, for me, before I hand back to Daryl, so we've gone through your sort of career. I mean, you've probably got loads of favourite memories, but your favourite memory from that series, i.e. the 2005. There were so many incredible moments. The Edgbaston 2-run victory, the seeing the Aussies celebrating a draw that Matthew Hoggard mentioned last week. If you could pick one memory from that series that sort of sits with you, what would you say that would be?
I'd say, just for the way it was shot and filmed by Channel 4, was I think when what's his name? Rudy Kurtzen knocked the bails off at the Oval. He had the thundery clouds behind him. He walked down the wicket and he flicked them off. And then, do you know what? That moment was when every single lad in that dressing room, from Fletch to Boney to the guys, the masseuses, to everyone in that, the kit guys, wherever it was, that's what we've been working for. That's what we've been building to for the last 4 years, is to beat those Aussies. And that's when that moment happened. Like, regardless of personal achievements that summer, like Colin Clark or Hoggy getting 5 or Harmy, wherever it was, that to me was the most important and the biggest memory I had, because we'd achieved that goal that we'd set 4 years ago. And we promised ourselves we were going to achieve that. So for me, seeing Rudy Kurtzen just flicking the bails off, yeah, that's up there.
I do remember I remember the commentator. I think it was something like, "What a performance!" Just because it was like the climax of this incredible series, wasn't it? And it was like a memorable moment and a really dramatic moment, actually, because, as you say, the sky was sort of, thundery and looked like a storm was brewing, and it just culminated 18 years of waiting for the Ashes to return. Yeah. Daryl, back over to you. I mean, for me, Simon, I think we're well over the hour. So again, a massive thank you. We won't keep you much longer. I know Daryl's got a few more bits and pieces, including just if you've enjoyed tonight, to donate to the Masked Cricketer. But Daryl, I'll hand back to you. From me, Simon, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Another hero of mine. We've had massive engagement tonight, the biggest I've seen for a long time. So it's kudos to you, mate, for joining us. Really great.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
For me, Simon, I'll say thanks in a moment. I want to take you back to a highlight of your career, I think, and this is obviously quite serious. It was back in February 2006. You know what's coming. You were the 9th of the world's sexiest men, and the highest sports person within that poll. Just take us through that, Jonesy, if you could.
Yeah, it was obviously the readers are good taste, didn't they? No, oh, look, it's one of those things. I hate attention like that, and it was, the boys were ribbing me, getting quite a bit of stick about it. Fred I think he was in the top 50, and then Harmy didn't make the top 200 because Fred always used to say because he's only got one tooth in his head. But it was. Do you know what? It's one of those questions. What do I say?
What do I say? There is no answer to it.
Yeah.
An achievement, I would suggest, JJ.
Yes.
It does bring me on to your nickname of Horse. Does that go hand in hand?
Long face, isn't it? And I think if I was a horse, I'd have been shot. Little injury there.
No comparison with the world's sexiest man and horse. No, I just wanted to clarify that for people out there. And Shoe Pie is another nickname of yours. So
I've seen that before, and I've been asked about that. I've never heard of it in my life. Like when I was with England, they called me Jonah or Jonesy. When I was with Morgan, they called me Horse. Worcester did the same. They called me Horse. But then, Shoe Pie. Someone's obviously having a little bit of having a mess around there, and they've just stuck it in my Wikipedia. But never heard of it in my life. But
brilliant! That's great. I'm going to ask our normal question, because we ask this every week. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, easy. Invisibility.
Same as Kieran. Kieran,
I would just thoroughly enjoy going around slapping people and watching their reactions. I'd be a menace. I really would be a menace. Just annoying people generally. Now if you're in the house moving stuff around. If I had that superpower, I'd just be made up.
It reminds me of the Tango advert of a few years ago. Yeah, whack. Brilliant. That's superb. I mean, somebody's got a sensible question, and I will ask it. And there's two strains of this, really. Ambitions for the future. I know you mentioned earlier in insurance now. Is that where that remains a passion? And any advice you could give to a young fast bowler, playing their trade, trying to get into the first class game? So, ambitions and advice.
Ambitions, right? I'll be brutally honest. I'll get a little bit serious here. With when you finish as a sports person, your transition into normal life. It took me 4 or 5 years, I reckon. I'd had numerous jobs, and I hadn't found what I wanted to do. And then I met my now boss, Dean Collaz, from Kerry, London last year. We hit it off, and I've joined end of last year, and I've loved it ever since. It's almost as if it's the first time since I finished playing cricket I've actually felt fulfilled, and I'm actually doing something, because I was going to do the coaching route. Doing my level 3. I started my level 3, and then this job came along, and I had to leave it. And it was one of those things that, for me, is there security in coaching, especially if you're trying to go to the elite level. If the head coach goes, then they bring in their own team. I've done my traveling. I've done my 20 years as a cricketer. I just want to have a base now for me and the boys, and we can, they'll develop it from here. So for me, is to obviously succeed as well as I can with Kerry London, and then go from there, because these jobs are jobs for life, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It was a little bit daunting to start with, because you're trying to find your way in life. You feel when you finish that you maybe lost a little bit of your identity. You've always been known as the cricketer or footballer or rugby player, wherever it is. But when you come out into the real world, then yes, you've got contacts, but what you find with some contacts that you made with the fair weather ones, they're not there when you need them. They wanted you when you were famous, or when you were in the limelight, or when you were playing for England, because it was good for them to have you being seen with their clients. But when you actually need help, and you need assistance, and you need a bit of guidance, they're gone. And that's the biggest thing I'd always say to young lads now, is when they're playing, make those contacts throughout your career. Don't go looking for it at the end of it, because people will see through that. Start now. With regards to kids coming through, the biggest thing for me, guys, is you've got to enjoy it. And, just work hard, do your preparation. Just do everything to the nth degree. So then when you come into a game, and maybe it doesn't go your way that day, you covered every single base before going into that game. If you've gone into that game undercut because you've not worked hard, or you've neglected some of your your preparation, you're the fool. You're the one that's going to end up looking like a fool and letting your side down. So just do everything they possibly can to prepare and train as hard and as well as they can. I mean, you go into a game, you can hold your hand up and say, look, I did everything I could. It went wrong today. Sorry.
Wise words. I know Kieran's going to come in with our winner of the bottle of wine tonight, who actually guessed you first. But for me, Simon, Jonesy, absolutely brilliant. You've been an absolute gentleman, I have to say. You come across really well, and I've really enjoyed this last 80 minutes with you. So thank you again for taking your time to join our humble little show that's very amateur, because we do just throw this together. Yes, we definitely do. But we have great fun.
I've thoroughly enjoyed, lads. Thanks for having me on, and it's done brilliantly. And there's massive interaction from your fans and that. But thanks for having me on. And once you mentioned the Lord Taverners, I was only happy to get involved.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Kieran, over to you. But come back to me I'll finish off.
I'll always come back to you, Woodsy. You know that. No, Simon, absolutely fantastic. As we've said a few times, I'm not very good at this. Just pointing down there. There it is. So if anybody's listened to this and enjoyed it, please do visit the Masked Cricketer on the Just Giving page. It's justgiving.com, and then search for the Masked Cricketer. You can donate in there. We're getting close to £3,000, which is mind blowing, really, for the charity. And if we can continue to raise money, however small or large the donation, brilliant stuff. And as we said, we will be coming back for a charity game in 2021. Just so you know, Simon, actually, the last charity game we had on the August bank holiday, we made the tickets free, but we had to restrict it to 250 because of COVID. And the tickets were snapped up in 20 minutes. We raised up well over £1,000 on the day. It was all the razzmatazz. We had the fireworks, and it was a fantastic day. And hopefully, especially with the news that we may be getting a vaccine, not wanting to be too serious for too long with a scarecrow on the screen. Hopefully, if we can get through this pandemic, next year we're convinced that we would probably be able to treble that crowd, because we had at least 400 or 500 people asking for tickets after they'd sold out. So fingers crossed for next year, because the more we can raise. Paul Fowler says he'll donate 50 quid if you bowl at me full speed in the net. That's nice of you. Thank you, Paul. That'll be like Piers Morgan facing Brett Lee, wouldn't it? God, I'll tell you what. I'll say that now. I'll take up that. I'll take that offer up, but I'll have to have all the pads on. I'll give that a go. No, but again, thank you. Thank you so much, Simon. This has been probably our biggest stream yet, which is saying quite a lot, because we've had some incredible guests. We've had the likes of Strauss and Charlotte Edwards and Hoggy and Sidebottom, but you've been honest, you've been brilliant. It's been fantastic. So yeah, many thanks. The winner tonight. Now Sam King is gutted, because he actually was the first person to guess tonight, but unfortunately, Sam, you were beaten by somebody that managed to guess before we'd even started tonight. So Mark Reed, who does a really good vodcast himself, he does a footballing vodcast. He's a Leeds fan, Dirty Leeds. But he did guess Simon Jones. He guessed it about 10 minutes before we came on air. Now, he's not psychic. He's been saying Simon Jones pretty much every week for the last 10 weeks. So I think, to be fair, he's guessed every week. So Mark Reed, you have won tonight. Well done. We will get Graham Woodward to get in touch with you and get your problem across to you. And it just goes to show, Daryl, as we've said a few times, we've had a different winner every week. We've had 21 episodes and a different winner every week. So it just goes to show we've got at least 21 viewers.
At least 21. Thank you, those 21 people.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Anyway, thanks again, Simon, for everything. It's been brilliant.
All right.
I think I'd just add, I mean, I hadn't scrolled through some of the questions because I was leaving that to Kieran, and some of the questions we haven't got round to, and some of the comments have just been fantastic. So thank you for taking the time to do that, and it just shows how well you come across there, Simon. So thank you again. Please stay with us. I'm going to just wrap it up now by saying, keep safe, guys. I found out I can't coach anymore, as it's in a private place, so I'm now currently totally 100% Mars cricketer for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So please join us again at 7:00 next week. Who knows who we've got on? But I would say we've still got some belters for this season, and hopefully you can join us at that time, 7:00 on obviously Facebook Live and our YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you possibly can, and obviously donate to the Just Giving page. And all it really remains me to say is, Simon, thank you again. Please stay with us while I do the end credits. But thanks ever so much for watching. We'll see you next week to #AskTheMask. Good night.